Alright, so today's story time is an awkward one, okay? Let's just start with that. But before we jump into that, I just want to say I have a new song coming out October 8th at midnight, so technically October 9th. But yeah, if you want to pre-save it, first link in the description. It's called Butterfly. It's definitely a lot different from my first song, but I think it's pretty cool and I'm pretty excited for it. So yeah, go pre-save it if you want on Spotify. And if you do, please tweet me a photo or tag me after you pre-save it. I'm going to be following as many people as I can back on Twitter and Instagram who pre-saved. So yeah, thank you guys so much for all the support on the first song. I'm stoked for the second one. And let's jump into this video today, okay? So this story time, like I said in the beginning, is a very awkward one, okay? It involves a girl I was dating at the time and her parents, and it's just one big awkward story time. So I hope you enjoy this story time. Leave a like on the video if you do, and let's jump right into this. So this story time takes place at the end of 2017. I was dating this girl at the time, and she invited me over to spend the weekend at her house. And at this time, she was still living with her parents. She was 19, she was planning on moving out soon, but she was still with her parents, and that wasn't a big deal at all. Like, her parents were really cool people. Like, they liked me a lot, I liked them, we got along really well, and yeah, they were just really cool people. So anyway, yeah, my girlfriend invited me over to spend the weekend at her house, and I was like, yeah, for sure. So yeah, when Friday came along, I gathered a bunch of my things, I got ready for the weekend, she came and picked me up, and we went back to her house, and the weekend begun. And we pretty much didn't do much for the first night. We were just sitting in her room pretty much the whole night watching movies, just hanging out. But when Saturday came along, that's when everything got a little bit awkward, and the rest of the weekend was very awkward. And I'm just going to tell you how, okay? So Saturday morning, I wake up to the smell of pancakes, a great smell. I go downstairs. My girlfriend was already awake. She was at the kitchen table waiting for breakfast. Her parents were making us breakfast. Her brother came downstairs. We all sat around the table, had breakfast together. It was a great start to the day. I was like, nothing could go wrong. Like, there is nothing possibly that could ruin this day. Like, perfect weekend so far. Well, just wait, okay? So we get done with breakfast, and then after that, me and my girlfriend hang out in her room for a little bit, then we all eat lunch together, and then fast forward to about dinner time, okay? So about 6 p.m., her parents make dinner, we sit down at the table again for the third time that day, we eat together. It was nice. I felt like I was a part of their family for the weekend. It was pretty cool. So after we get done with dinner, me, my girlfriend, and her brother decide to leave and go get milkshakes at this place down the street. So my girlfriend tells her parents, she's like, yeah, we're gonna go out, get some milkshakes. We'll be back in like an hour, hour and a half. And they were super cool about it. They were like, all right, have fun. And yeah, me, my girlfriend, and her brother left, got in my girlfriend's car, and we drove down to this milkshake place. We get there, we go inside, we get our milkshakes, we sit at a table, and we just talk for like an hour and a half straight. And after that, we left. Me, my girlfriend, and her brother got in her car, drove back to their house, went inside, and we put a movie on in the living room and just started watching a movie. And I noticed when we walked inside that her parents weren't anywhere in sight. Like, usually they were always hanging out in the living room, and it was still pretty early in the night to make me think that they went to sleep. So I was assuming that they either went out or that they were in their room, like, watching something on the TV and that they'd come out soon. So anyway, we start watching this movie in the living room, me, my girlfriend, and her brother, and we get like 15 minutes into it, and I had to go to the bathroom really bad. Like, I drank a huge, large milkshake. I was drinking a bunch of water as well. I definitely had to go number one for sure. So I get up and I start walking down the hallway towards the downstairs bathroom, and I really thought that nothing could possibly go wrong about me using the downstairs bathroom because it's the bathroom that nobody used because there was 2 bathrooms upstairs by the bedrooms and they had showers in them. The one downstairs didn't. So pretty much nobody used the downstairs one. So yeah, I walked down the hallway, I get to the bathroom door, and the lights were off, so I didn't assume that anybody was in there. Like, every time the lights were off, I would just open the door because that means, that nobody's in there. Last time I checked, no one takes a piss in the pitch black. Like, that just makes no sense. So yeah, I didn't knock. I didn't think I needed to because the lights were off under the door. So I swing open the bathroom door and the light from the hallway seeps in and I can see in there. And I see my girlfriend's parents in the bathroom doing something I don't want to see my girlfriend's parents doing that involves them not having any clothes on. And I see this and I immediately shut the door and I say sorry because it was the most awkward thing in the world. I didn't think I'd walk in on them doing that. And I immediately walk back to the couch, I sit down, and I look at her, and I'm like, hey, don't use the downstairs bathroom, like, go upstairs. And she was like, why? What'd you do in there? And I was like, well, I didn't do anything. It's more about what your parents are doing in there currently. And she was like, what? And her brother overheard us, and he looked over at me, he's like, Austin, what are you talking about? I'm like, look, I'm not trying to make a big deal out of it. I just opened the door because the lights were off. and the light seeped in from the hallway, and I saw your two parents in there, just, vibing, doing whatever two parents do when they're home alone in a bathroom spontaneously. And her brother starts laughing so hard, and so does she, which was nice. I'm glad they were taking it lightheartedly and, making a joke out of it, instead of letting that image in their mind, ruin their whole day. So anyway, like 5 minutes later, her parents come out of the bathroom, they walk down the hallway into the living room, and they look at us, and we look at them, and we just stare at each other for like 2 seconds. And I don't think I've had a more awkward 2 seconds in my entire life. Like, that 2 seconds felt like 2 hours. Like, we were just staring at them, and they were staring at us, and it was so awkward. So after those 2 seconds, my girlfriend's brother goes, "Austin, you can go pee now, I think they're done." And he starts laughing, which made everything so much more awkward. Like, they smiled about it, but I know they didn't want to. So after he said that, I got up and fast walked to the bathroom to just avoid that awkward situation. Like, I didn't want to be in that room any longer. Like, it was just getting too awkward in there. So I go in the bathroom, and I just stand in there for like 5 minutes. I just stood there trying to pass as much time as possible before I had to go back out and deal with that super awkward situation. So yeah, after those 5 minutes, I left the bathroom, I walked down the hallway, I got back to the living room, and her parents weren't there, which was good. That means, no more awkwardness. And I sit down, and I look at her, I'm like, "Where'd your parents go?" She's like, "They went up to their room." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." I'm like, "Are they mad at me?" And she's like, "No, it was just a big misunderstanding. Like, I'm sure they're fine. Like, they're just being quiet because they're probably embarrassed." I'm like, "All right, like, I hope they're not mad at me. Like, I like your parents a lot." And she's like, "No, they're not mad at you. They won't be mad at you for, you walking in. Like, you couldn't have known." So for pretty much the entire rest of that night, her parents stayed up in their room. I think her dad came down once to get water, but that was it. And the whole rest of that night wasn't really awkward. Like, they were up in their room, we were down in the living room, no big deal. So that was fine, right? The rest of that night was fine. But of course, just my luck, me and my girlfriend fell asleep on the living room couch, which means in the morning, her parents would be right next to us making breakfast when we woke up. And of course, just my luck again, I wake up first and my girlfriend doesn't, which means they were going to see me awake and she'd still be asleep and they'd probably talk to me until she got up. And yeah, I just had a feeling things were about to get really awkward, and that feeling was correct, because when I got up and I went into the kitchen, I said hello to them, and of course, her dad goes, "Hey Austin, can we talk to you real quick about last night?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course." And we sit down at the table, and they both just look at me, and her dad goes, "Look, me and my wife were trying to do something a little bit spontaneous last night, and it totally backfired when you walked in on us. We should have had the door locked, we should have had the lights on, or something, so that you would have known to knock." And I was like, "It's all good, you don't have to explain yourselves. Like, I'm sorry I didn't knock in the first place, I should have." And her dad goes, "Oh no, don't worry about it, Austin. Like, we had the lights off, we were trying to try something in the dark, and you couldn't have known." Now in my head, I'm thinking like, all right, why is he telling me all this? Like, why does he have to say like, "Oh, we're trying to do something spontaneous," and "Oh, we were trying to do something in the dark"? Like, why does he have to include that? Just be like, "Hey man, like, sorry we were in there doing that when you walked in. We should have locked the door. It won't happen again." Like, that's all he had to say. Or he could have said nothing. Like, they could have said nothing and I would have been fine with it. Like, I didn't need to have an explanation whatsoever. I wasn't like angry or upset or anything. It was just a little bit awkward, that's all. So anyway, after that, the awkward conversation was pretty much over. They said sorry, I said it was fine, no big deal, and we pretty much moved on from that topic and agreed to not bring it up anymore. And yeah, my girlfriend woke up shortly after that, and we just went about our day. And the rest of the day was pretty normal, still a little bit awkward, but things definitely got slowly better in terms of awkwardness. But yeah, that's pretty much the end of the story time of how I walked in on my girlfriend's parents doing it. Definitely an awkward and funny one in my opinion. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below, and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you all later. Peace.
You talking down when you looking up and I'm like, what's up? You talking down when you looking up and I'm like, what's up? They leave me out for the dead and now they know they're fucked. All my texts are unread, that's how I know she's done. My life changed in a flash.